Okay, here's hoping that I'm actually going to make a better impression of everything and shit. Okay? Alright. I am not going to be showing the footage because I'm not going to show footage of everything because the videos that are actually that I'm going to be watching and that I'm only going to let you guys listen to via audio is being flagged every time by the news networks. So you're only going to hear the audio. Okay? Flood control projects in the Philippines, right? Context. Basically, I think the flood control projects have been given more significance because there are many complaints that actually came in because Marcos Jr. himself during this year had set up a helpline or a site access for the public for the public to submit complaints. I think all of these flood projects became apparent to investigators, but it let them became more aware when Marcos himself confirmed things when he did the homework, bro. So in regards to this, there are things that Marcos is making clear in regards to these things. He doesn't like where the complaints are going to, but at the same time, he needed to make everything clear for the public. So, the first video that you guys are going to hear, it's titled Marcos. 64% of flood control projects lack clear descriptions. This is from Inquirer.net, and this was published a month ago.
Another observation is that there are 6,021 projects worth more than 350 billion that do not specify the exact type of flood control that is being built.
Yep.
Then, many projects also in different locations have exactly the same contract cost. I think anybody who works in either the private sector or the public sector, pag sinabi, may 50 project, pare-pareho, 150 million lahat, pare-pareho lahat. Imposible yan. It is impossible for one barangay, even if they are the next barangay, to have the exact same project to the exact same amount with the exact same contractor.
Those things sent alarm bells immediately when he found that out himself. So yeah, these were glaring signs that something is wrong with these projects. He's acknowledging it here. He is acknowledging it here.
Imposible yan. And that is why that is a significant finding already that we have made. If there is evidence of corruption, then of embezzlement, of any kind of wrongdoing, that's when we will move.
And you know what? His appointment of Dizon in the DPWH is actually timely. As soon as that was done, so much investigating was done, and we've come to this point.
But again, we cannot do all of this without the help of the ordinary citizen. We need the citizen to play their part, their civic duty, to report to the government what they see as being wrong.
And they have. The good thing is, they have. They sent multiple complaints. And it worked. The next video that we're going to watch, it is from ABS-CBN News, and this was published a month ago. Vico Soto names alleged owner of firms dominating flood control projects. This comes from the ABS-CBN News Center.
Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto has taken to social media to reveal the alleged owner of the top contractors involved in flood control projects mentioned by President Marcos. In a Facebook post, Soto claims that Alpha and Omega and St. Timothy, ranked second and third on the list, are both owned and controlled by the same family, the Discayas, who also own St. Gerard. Soto said he will send to the president all of the information he has.
Vico Soto is just one of the Good Samaritan politicians and leaders who are able to submit their findings in regards to anomalies and flood control projects, especially as he his jurisdiction, Pasig City, there definitely is a problem there. He has been handling these problems with contractors for a while. Okay, Pasig is not being done justice enough, and he's making absolutely sure the contractors are forced to be put in line, because something wasn't right with how they're actually going about with flood control. Something wasn't right.
Soto added he will continue to pursue legal cases against these individuals to collect business taxes owed to the local government. Soto said the unpaid business taxes alone would provide the Pasig government with enough funds to construct a new building for the judiciary and national government agencies. ABS-CBN News has been trying to get the side of the Discayas, but they have yet to give a response. The family's most prominent public figure is Sara Discaya, who ran against Soto for the Pasig City mayoral seat in the 2025 elections.
President Marcos, meanwhile, welcomes the offer of Tycoon Ramon Ang to help solve Metro Manila's perennial flooding problem. Marcos says the government is open to any help from the private sector. Ang made the offer after several of San Miguel Corporation's projects were accused of causing floods in some parts of the country.
From the very beginning, I always said the private sector needs to be part of everything of our national development. The proposal ni Ramon Ang is also certainly very welcome because we've seen his projects. Maganda naman ang mga nagiging resulta.
Results quite good.
He's able to bring it in on time, and the man is an engineer, so I'm sure he has pinag-aralan niya na mabuti yan.
He studied his proposal very well. Okay.
House lawmakers weigh in on the flood control controversy. Kamanggagawa Party List Representative Eli San Fernando welcomes the government's investigation into corruption. But he says congressmen who are being accused of acting as contractors in flood control projects should be identified.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Congressman Edgar Arisa believes the main cause of Metro Manila's flooding problem is its inefficient solid waste management because local governments have awarded garbage collection contracts to just a few contractors.
Our biggest problem is solid waste management and corruption. Imagine, Metro Manila is one of the biggest megacities in the world with a 40 million population. This was quoted by Edgar Aris, Philippine House lawmaker.
Maling system ng solid waste management. Imagine, Metro Manila is one of the biggest
Yeah, here we go.
population, each producing 0.74 kilos of garbage every day. So mga
We produce 11,000 tons of garbage every day.
11,000 tons yan. At ang tansya ko, sa 11,000, mga 30 to 40% lang yung nakokolekta.
What? Shit, that's not good. And here's the thing. The lack of trash collection contributes to health problems following the floods. Oh my God.
Because of local governments. Kung merong narco-politics, may garbage politics.
Oh my God.
They're funding the
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh man. This is why leaders are getting pointed at as being part of the problem too of floods. Is because they're not doing their civic duty of keeping the streets clean, keeping different places clean for everyone. And even if they're not part of the actual scandal of the funding of the allocation of the misallocation of the flood control project funding, they're still basically responsible for cost cutting that leads to flood control, that leads to floods, deadly floods.
the campaign of mayors at sila lang yung magsusurvive kasi kontrolado din nila yung mga dam sites eh.
Oh my God, bro. Next video. Marcos says 15 contractors cornered 100 billion pesos worth of flood control projects since 2022. This was published by ANC 24/7, and this has been published a month ago.
Philippine President Marcos Jr. presents what he says is a disturbing assessment of flood control projects cornered by 15 contractors. He notes how most of the projects are in areas not even considered as flood-prone. Katrina Domingo.
Whoa.
This is another disturbing assessment.
This is how President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. described the initial findings of a review on the Public Works and Highways flood control projects in the last 3 years. The president says that 20% of the nearly 10,000 projects from July 2022 to May 2025 were awarded to only 15 contractors, with the total project cost amounting to around 100 billion pesos.
That for me was the
Why only 15? Why only 15 contractors? You cannot delegate everything enough, and now it all falls apart when there is profiteering and misuse of funding. There's profiteering now evident and misuse of funding. Shit, dude.
one that stood out very much. 5 of these contractors had projects in almost the entire country.
Of these nearly 10,000 projects,
Okay, 5 of these 15 contractors had projects in almost all the regions nationwide. Legacy Construction, Alpha and Omega General Contractor and Development, St. Timothy Construction, EGB Construction, and Road Edge Trading and Development Services.
The entire country.
Of these nearly 10,000 projects, some 6,000 infrastructure lacked specifications, while several had the same contract price despite being located in different areas.
Same contract price, even if they are not in flood-prone areas. That in itself is alarming too.
It's impossible for one barangay, even if they are the next barangay, to have the exact same project to the exact same amount with the exact same contractor. Imposible yan.
The president also flagged why most of the flood control projects were constructed in provinces that are among the most flood-prone areas in the country. For example, Cebu, Isabela, Albay, Leyte, and Camarines Sur were among the top 10 provinces with the most number of flood control projects, but they are not part of the government's list of most flood-prone areas.
I'm just going to leave a comment down. Before continuing reaction, so give me a moment. And I will now continue. So, yeah.
Whatever pinaka-flood prone, yun dapat ang pinakamaraming project. Pero parang hindi tumutugma.
Data from the government show that the Philippines has poured in over 500 billion pesos for flood control projects.
Yeah.
Despite that staggering amount, numerous areas in the country remain drenched in floods during heavy downpours.
Yeah, we all wondered why, and this is what we all heard and complained about. It's true.
The president, however, remained cautious when asked who should be held liable for these discrepancies.
It will be premature for me to name names, etc.
Yeah, exactly. At that time, he's not certain yet if they were really involved, so it makes sense. You cannot prematurely implicate those who are involved unless there is certain evidence. And thank goodness there is evidence, and eventually the Senate and the House of Representatives began investigations. And yeah, it got ugly quick.
Until we really know what's going on.
The president says the government needs the public's help to further see possible irregularities in these anti-flood programs. This is why the president launched the sumbongsapangulo.ph.
The helpline was actually launched. I thought the helpline was launched before this, but the helpline was launched after he made absolutely sure that he is absolutely astounded. He is absolutely pissed when it comes to the revelations that he's getting about the flood control. All right, I thought the helpline was established before this, but apparently it was after.
Or the report to the president website. The site lists all flood control projects under the Public Works Department in the past 3 years and allows users to see the locations, contractors, project costs, and the completion date of anti-flood measures from 2022 to 2025.
We need everyone involved because, I don't know, 80 million, 90 million pairs of eyes are better than all the eyes in an entirety of government.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Susulat ninyo doon sa report, ako mismo ang babasa. Yan ang asahan ninyo. Babasahin ko bawat isa.
Katrina Domingo,
And those things have been, and the things that he's made, he's read, he passed it down to investigators. This is where we are. It is ugly. It is absolutely ugly, bro. It is absolute. All right. Next video that we have here on the playlist. By the way, this playlist is unlisted, so you guys cannot see it. I'm just keeping the playlist for reference for reactions. And yeah. The next one that we have is flood control projects will be investigated by the Senate. As soon as there is leeway enough for an investigation, because there are now enough complaints, and because of the help that Marcos actually provided when it comes to this information, the Senate and the House of Representatives start moving on it. Now, this video comes from Net25 News and Information, also published a month ago. I think sometime after Marcos had actually revealed this information and had actually made it now evident to the public.
Simula na sa Martes ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee ang pagdinig sa flood control projects ng gobyerno. Sa programang Saganang Mamamayan, sinabi ni Senador Rodante Marcoleta na kailangang lumitaw kung sino ang responsableng mga opisyal ng
The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee basically had begun their investigations, and they made sure that there were multiple hearings. That they made sure that there were there were actually multiple hearings already. Well, it started with the first one, but yeah.
pamahalaan ang nagwaldas sa pondo ng sa proyekto. Matatandaan na ang malawakang pagbaha dulot ng sunod-sunod na bagyo at habagat ang nagmulat sa mata ng Senado para magkaroon ng inquiry sa 2025 budget ng DPWH upang malaman kung anong nangyari sa multibilyong pondo para sa flood control project.
Exactly. What happened to the multi-billion-dollar flood control project? What happened to it? Oh, they're gonna find out, and it's gonna get uglier and uglier because there are politicians involved. There are public works officials involved too. It gets uglier from here, guys. It really just gets uglier from here.
Ngayon, makakala nila, interesado ako sa kontraktor. Pero, makipag-cooperate kayo, makipagtulungan kayo. Sabihin ninyo kung magkano binibigay nyo sa mga...
Yeah, exactly. The contractors are not fully disclosing the budget that they have on the flood and how much was granted. Basically, the difference of what they're using for the flood control to what was provided to them, the difference would be the profits that they would make. The profit in which they don't use those funds at any point.
Mga taong gobyerno para hindi kayo ang madidikdik dyan.
Samantala, nanawagan si Marcoleta sa taong bayan na iparating sa kanyang tanggapan ang mga maanomalyang flood control projects upang mapanagot ang dapat na managot.
Siyempre, pag nakita natin at nasuri natin ang mga dokumento at malinaw naman. At lalo na ngayon, sinusubaybayan ng tao yan. Aba, pag hindi gumalaw yung concerned prosecution agency, mananagot po kayo.
That's right. And everybody in bodies of government start moving on this. Now there is next video we're watching. Marcos angry over 55 million peso ghost river wall project in Baliwag. Baliuag, Baliwag, Bulacan. This was published by ANC 24/7. And this was published a month ago.
A contractor who was fully paid for a non-existent flood control project in Bulacan is ordered blacklisted by Philippine President Marcos Jr. Job Manahan reports.
Walang ginawa kahit isang araw hindi nagtrabaho, wala kang makita puntahan ninyo.
Nothing was done. Not even a single day of work. Even if you go there, you won't see anything at all. This is him. This is him actually being there personally. And he saw that shit. This is why every investigation in regards to flood control projects individually became so ramped up, because he personally went to one of these sites. And there is a very big glaring difference to what was documented when it comes to the budget and to what was done. Nothing significant was done. This is why he's so pissed off at this. Because this is the worst type of flood control project that would ever come. Ghost projects. Almost no significant progress.
Wala kayong makita kahit na ano. I'm not disappointed, I'm angry.
A furious President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. faced the media Wednesday morning after finding out that the Riverwall project in PL Village in Baliwag, Bulacan, supposedly marked as completed, has nothing to show for.
Marked as completed as well, though. Marked as completed, bro. The contractors are fucked for this one.
Based on the documents from the DPWH, the 220-meter structure was supposed to begin last February. But when the president visited the area, there was no indication that construction has started, even though it was nearly fully paid. Documents show 2 payments were made for the project, first in March and the second one in June.
Ito ghost project talaga ito. Wala talagang ginawa kahit isa.
Oh my God, bro.
Tapos sinabi sa barangay na magpapatulong para ilalagay nila yung project. Tapos umatras din. Sinabi after a while di na matutuloy. So siguro nabayaran na. Kaya tumatras na.
The president vows to file graft charges against contractors and government officials involved in supposedly anomalous flood control projects.
Ang katakataka, hindi namin mahanap itong kontratang ito.
It's really puzzling. We can't find the contract for this.
Kaya hindi na namin malaman. Kasi
We're still looking for it. We don't know. Maybe it was heavily subcontracted. Went through several layers of subcontractors.
Kaya hindi wala.
So there are no records left.
Perfect example of the abuse that is being done by some of these contractors.
According to the residents there, the project could have prevented flooding in their area.
Babahain po kami pag po hindi po ginawa po yung proyekto po.
Flooding if the project isn't completed. The floodwaters reach inside the houses. We also evacuate when the water gets too deep.
ABS-CBN News went to the contractor's address indicated in the receipt, but no one answered.
Well, no one answered because the information that everyone is finding is true, and that they're directly implicated because they haven't done enough for the flood control project, and now they remain silent. Wholly silent because of this. It is a mess. It is an absolute mess.
In Giginto, Bulacan, some local officials expressed dismay, saying they were not consulted, adding they have no say or control in these flood control projects. One example is the construction of a revetment wall in a portion of Barangay Santa Cruz, which remains under construction for more than 2 years.
Bakit ganun ang pagkakagawa?
Why was it done that way? The river became narrower and the cement or materials used weren't of good quality.
O yung mga ginagamit ng materyales. Sabi ko,
I always say this. I'm not the implementing agency for that.
The Bulacan
Exactly. The local government units don't have an entire say when it comes to these projects, except if they actually approve of the progress of the contractors. But here's the thing. The contractors are not doing enough, bro. The contractors are not doing enough. Yo, Investor Gaming, thank you very much for checking me out. Yeah. listen. If you're going to, okay, we're gonna continue. I just had to make sure that avoid giving me any offers of helping my platforms on the public chat, please. I'm saying it again. Anyway, let's continue.
Bulacan provincial government earlier said they would conduct a parallel investigation regarding flood control projects in the province. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Internal Revenue said it will look into the tax compliance of contractors involved.
I'm going to make it absolutely clear, okay? The contractors who have profited from this should get audited up to their cells. What has happened to the townspeople and to the city folk who have experienced floods everywhere in the Philippines, it should be noted that these were done because of the lack of attention to flood control projects and to the misuse of the funding. The misuse of the funding. So yes, I'm saying it. The contractors should be audited to their cells. To their cells. You can bite me. You can actually go ahead and fucking bite me. I don't really give a damn. They should be audited to their cells. To their cells.
Involved in flood control projects after President Marcos bared the names of construction companies which got big ticket contracts. BIR Commissioner Romeo Lumagi Jr. said it will coordinate with various government agencies such as the DPWH.
Na natin yung mga tax compliance dahil yun naman ang sakop ng or saklaw ng authority ng BIR. So, na natin yung naging tax compliance nitong mga contractors patungkol dyan sa mga proyekto na yan at overall tax compliance nila.
Malacanang meanwhile assured the public that the alleged ties of several government officials to private contractors that cornered majority of flood control projects will be included in the government's investigation.
Tungkol naman po doon sa mga
As for the top 15 contractors who are allegedly linked to some senators, such as Senator Bongo, this will be investigated.
katulad na sinabi ng Pangulo,
Just as the president said, whether they are a relative, a friend, or someone close to his heart, if they are involved in anomalies like this, he will have it investigated, and those responsible will be held accountable. Quoted by Undersecretary Claire Castro of the Philippine Palace press officer.
The palace gave its assurance that all those involved in sham flood control projects will be held accountable.
Oh yeah.
Job Manahan, ABS-CBN News.
Seems right to me, actually. Seems definitely right to me. Next video that I have is 289.5 million peso flood control project in the vicinity of Camiling, Tarlac has been investigated, and there were holes in this project. This has been published by GMA Integrated News, published a month ago.
Nakita ng bitakang isang flood control project sa Tarlac na pinakamahal pa man din sa bansa. Ang isang dike naman sa Oriental Mindoro na 2023 lang natapos, sira na ang ilang bahagi.
Yeah. Okay, so even if there were some flood control projects that have been given care, the care was not enough to the point that even if a flood control project is finished, the materials used were substandard and they were weak. It's like a tofu dreg, okay? It's like a tofu dreg after it's been used for 2 years. You heard that right from the Mindoro project, right? 2023. It's 2025 right now. Basically, can only be used for 2 years and is eventually useless.
May report si Maki Pulido.
Ito ang pinakamahal na flood control project sa Pilipinas.
The one in Camiling, Tarlac.
Ang Camiling Agno River Floodway Phase 3 sa Camiling, Tarlac na nagkakahalagang 289.5 million.
Okay, it's called the Camiling Agno River Floodway Phase 3. This had a project of 289.5 million pesos. However, there were problems with this.
Pesos. Nakatulong daw ito noong sunod-sunod ang bagyo at habagat noong nakaraang buwan. Pero kapuna-puna na meron na itong mga bitak. Sabi ng DPWH.
Oh my God, oh my God, bro. Look at this. Look at this. There were cracks. There were cracks that are starting to show because of the lack of care and the lack of NECA integrity on this. It is so bad, bro. This is not tofu drag by definition, but the damages are beginning to show. This is sad. It's taken repeated abuse from tropical storms. It's taken repeated abuse from the levels of the water levels, but this is unacceptable. It's not that this is still a good flood control project, but the integrity is bad.
Nagka-crack ang semento kapag mainit ang panahon. Madali lang daw itong ayusin. Ang isa pang flood control project sa Kamiling na 2 taon pa lamang mula nang gawin, may mga butas na at
oh my god, this is worse. This is worse. Oh shit, bro. Oh shit.
litaw na bakal. Ang konkreto, mabilis pang masira.
Concrete is easy to dissolve. Oh shit, bro.
94.5 million.
This one, the slope protection project in Kamiling, Tarlac. That was the budget. Bro, what the fuck?
Pesos ang halaga ng slope protection project. Nangangamba mga residente na tuluyan itong masira. Sinusubukan ng GMA Integrated News na kunin ang panig ng contractor ng proyekto na Flordes Construction. Kanina, kinumpuni ng First District Engineering Office ng Tarlac ang mga butas at bitak.
Ipapacheck po natin, sir, para kita po natin yung mga concern po nila para maayos po natin.
Ang dike naman sa Subaan River sa San Teodoro Oriental, Mindoro, gumuho na ang ilang bahagi.
Yeah, this is the Mindoro this is the Mindoro thing that I was telling you guys about. This is the Mindoro thing that I was telling you guys about. 380 million peso project. It's already it's showing so much damage, and this was finished in 2023. This was finished in 2023, bro. Dude. Basically, it's not okay. I first said tofu drag. That was a mistake. It doesn't look like tofu drag, but this is just as worse. If there are cracks and damages on these flood control projects, that means there was less care given to these. Even if they seemed finished, they're substandard.
Kahit katatapos lang nitong 2023, pinondohan pa man din ito ng mahigit
380 million pesos. This thing, the dike project in Subaan River.
Yun pesos, batay sa sumbong sa Pangulo website. Sabi ng mga opisyal ng barangay, may gumuhong bahagi na rito noong 2024 nang manalasang habagat noong nakaraang buwan. Nabiyak na rin ang semento at tuluyang nasira ang iba pang bahagi ng dike project. Kanina, naabutan pa nga ng GMA Integrated News ang mga nahuhulog na semento sa ilog.
Oh my god, the cement is falling apart. It was even in the footage, bro! It's even in the footage! Look at this shit, dude! Look at this shit!
Tapos umulan. Inireport na raw ito ng barangay sa DPWH.
Nagkakaroon na po ng bitak. Inayos po nila yung mga retats po. Tapos nagkaroon...
Retouching it! You guys... Oh my god. The contractors think that by just retouching over cheap materials, it would actually be fixed. But here's the problem with that. If there's no good foundation, with flood control projects like these, even with the number of touch-ups that you give it, it would still fail to hold up okay. It would still fail to hold up. So what are you guys doing?
Doon po yun nga po, disaster po, nagkaroon ng baha, doon po nagkaroon na ng lumaki na po yung gumuho na po.
Wala raw koordinasyon sa lokal na pamahalaan.
No coordination with the local government.
Ang proyektong ito, nang mabiyak ang dike, nadiskubre raw ng LGU na manipis na nga ang semento, halos wala pang ginamit na bakal.
You know, with every construction that is supposed to hold up cement, why would you lessen the steel? Why would you lessen any metal foundations to it? That's the purpose of holding the structure together, right? What the hell?
Walang mga bakal yung itong dike. Kung meron man, kakaunti.
Siguro mas magiging matibay po ito kung mas malaki yung mga
bakal.
Batay sa datos ng DPWH na nasa sumbong website ng Pangulong Marcos, 3 construction company ang naghati sa dike project. Napunta ang Phase 1 ng proyekto sa New Big 4J Construction Inc. sa halagang
Phase 1 went to 4J Construction, New Big 4J Construction. Okay.
halos 145 million pesos na blacklist na ito noong 2016 hanggang
It was blacklisted in 2016, but it was still operating when this project was completed. When this project was completed in 2023. What the fuck?
2017, batay sa inilabas na listahan ng Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines. Poor din ang rating nito sa Constructors Performance Evaluation System Report ng 2015 to 2018 para sa isang proyekto sa Laguna. Nakuha naman ng Prime Pacific Marine and Industrial Services Corporation ang Phase 2 sa
Phase 2 was done by the Prime Pacific Marine and Industrial Services Corporation. I'm guessing they're also blacklisted.
halagang 145 million pesos. Phase 3 naman ang sa Road Edge Trading and Development
Basically, Road Edge Trading and Development Services took over Phase 3. I think they're also blacklisted.
Services sa halagang higit 96 million pesos.
No matter how many contractors are actually involved in any specific flood control project, even if it looks finished, if the flood control project shows cracks and damages due to insufficient material, all contractors involved get blacklisted. All contractors involved get blacklisted. This shouldn't be an issue, but it's becoming an issue because they did this themselves. They did this themselves, and look where it got them. This is ugly. All because there was a sitting president who wanted to expedite one thing, and it led to this situation. Wanted to make sure that the welfare of people has been pretty much made a priority over the quality of life. This is lacking quality of life by paying less attention to flood control projects, by risking the lives of people like this, bro. Sure, you're trying to actually engage in a drug war. The collateral damage is it involves civilians in the process. Sure, you're trying to actually make sure that there are that there are infrastructure projects involved, and it resulted to shitty building material being used. And even if the projects are completed, they're showing cracks, they're showing damages, and it leads to floods. It leads to floods, and it kills civilians, right? Sure, you make sure that people's lives are have a better situation. The problem is quality of life is bad. I hate it that presidents do not see the bigger picture. I hate it that there are presidents who do not see the bigger picture in this, especially if it's made evident eventually. It's just so bad, bro. So bad, bro.
Nakakuha ito ng 2 unsatisfactory ratings mula sa Constructors Performance Evaluation System o CPES noong 2014. Inaalam namin kung sino sa 3 kontraktor ang humawak sa mga nasirang bahagi ng dike. Sinusubukan pa ng GMA Integrated News na kunin ang pahayag ng 3 kumpanya, pati ng DPWH Mimaropa Regional Office. Maki Pulido nagbabalita para sa GMA Integrated News.
Huwag magpahuli sa mga
I'm gonna take a break from reacting to this. It's all getting really stressful. Holy shit. This is so bad, bro. Sorry. Honestly, I needed a break from it because, well, so much emotion, so much charged emotion. It actually makes sense. So, after the flood control project in Tarlac, there are just a few videos that I thought it would actually be necessary, but I thought I'd let you guys know that those few have been removed from the playlist because it speaks the same thing. Less quality on materials basically leads to bad finishes. Bad finishes that we don't need, and things that we should definitely be very wary of. Okay? Let's just be wary of these things. Let's just be real. We're basically tired of the fact that we're being screwed around. Okay? We're basically tired of the fact of being screwed around and being treated like idiots. Okay? The worst that they can treat the real worst that they can really just treat us as of this time is if we're considered idiots. I don't like us to be treated like idiots here. So the next video I got is titled Jinggoy, as in Jinggoy Estrada himself, the senator. Jinggoy questions Diskaya couple's wealth from DPWH projects. This has been published by ABS-CBN News. However, it has been aired on ANC.
Moving on, Senator Jinggoy Estrada questioning the supposed rags to riches story that surfaced.
By the way, this was published a month ago.
In the interview of Sarah and Curly Diskaya with broadcasters Julius Babaw and Corina Sanchez Rojas. Now, in that interview, the couple showcased their collection of luxury cars and admitted their lives changed for the better after becoming.
Here's the thing, okay? You blatantly state that your lives have gotten better after you guys were given flood control projects, and basically you show off your wealth like this. That is blatant misuse of funding, and at the same time, you are being inconsiderate with the real purpose of the funds itself. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I actually activated the visuals, but anyway, just letting you guys know, that's what it looks like. All right, that's what it is. I'm sorry if for a while on the recording there was no visual because I thought that the visual was on. Anyway, we're back in it. But basically, I'll show the visual for sake of transparency. Estrada questions this guy couple's wealth from DPWH projects. Let's just be real. After the interview blew up and the Diskayas have shown their wealth, that definitely would blow up in their faces, considering that it warrants further investigation. It warrants further investigation. Where did the funds come from? And if eventually it was proven because of great significance that it comes from taxpayer money, of course you would be questioned. You would be frowned upon, bruh. Are you freaking serious?
Becoming contractors for the Public Works Department. 2 of their companies are among the top 15 contractors bagging major flood control projects in the country.
Nakakagulat yung mga revelations dun sa interview. How can a couple who started from scratch?
How could a couple who... Okay, the revelations from the interview are shocking. How can a couple who started from scratch afford to purchase 59 luxury vehicles? They admitted that their gateway to wealth was when they became contractors for the DPWH. That is alarming by itself.
Yung gateway nila sa pagyaman nila, nung sumali sila sa DPWH. So that is very, very clear. I will ask her, sino bang contact mo dyan?
Who exactly is her contact at the DPWH? Most likely, they manipulated the bidding process. Contractors control the district engineers, for example, in Bulacan, so they can be rewarded the projects. Then they provide advance payments to secure the contracts. God damn.
Meanwhile, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will continue its investigation into...
Well, we know what happened eventually with the continuous sessions of the Blue Ribbon Committee. They have been finding out more and more of this shit, and it gets uglier and uglier the more they delved into it.
To the allegedly anomalous flood control projects next Monday, Senate President Francis Escudero has signed subpoenas for the 8 contractors who were absent during last week's hearing. Senators are expected to tackle the reported bribery attempt by a DPWH engineer against Batangas Representative Leandro Leviste. Estrada adds Commission and audit officials will also be grilled by senators over how those projects managed to slip past them.
Basically, the contractors themselves are screwed. The politicians who massively benefited from kickbacks are also screwed, and they didn't even bother giving back the excess on the profits. They didn't even bother giving back towards the projects. They didn't even bother. They spent it all. The audacity. It is the audacity that really pins them right to the wall.
Hindi naman po-prosper ng isang ghost project kung walang go signal ang opisyalis ng COA. Because sila yung huling pipirme sa mga dokumento.
That's right.
They should have inspected the project.
Yeah, there is also great reason at this point that even the Commission of Audit themselves have been compromised. Because the Commission on Audit has the final say when it comes to the budget, when it comes to not only the budget approvals. Hold on, wait. When it comes to the actual launch of the projects themselves. Okay, Jingo Estrada is stating, as a Senate President of pro tempore, temporarily he was Senate President. Before, hold on, I'm not sure. Okay. Basically, he states, a ghost project cannot prosper without the ghost signal of Commission on Audit officials because they are the last ones to sign the documents. They should have inspected the projects. If they don't conduct inspections, that's their fault. It's impossible for there to be no collusion here. So, between the Discayas and the Commission of Audit, yeah, I still believe that there are many COA officials who are truly incorruptible, but there are bad eggs in the Commission on Audit. But we really have to investigate these anomalies. Well, here's the thing, Jingoy. You were part of it. You were eventually labeled as being a part of it.
The Commission on Audit. Kaya talagang we really have to investigate these anomalies.
Yep. This is an ugly situation all around, bro. Now, published just 4 weeks, published 4 weeks ago, sometime after the video about Jingoy questioning Discaya, there's a video called PBBM, Lifestyle Check for those who were involved in the flood control projects. This was published by the GMA Integrated News.
USEC related po do sa binanggit ninyo in opening this briefing.
Basically, Claire Castro herself is the main thumbnail because apparently she's answering questions for the during the press conference here. There is high participation from the Malacanang Palace because Marcos Jr. definitely wants this absolutely looked at. Yes, he's definitely involved in it, but not to the point that he lets these things happen. He doesn't want any of this to happen, but it is happening anyway. So yes, he's making it absolutely clear Malacanang Palace also has a say in this.
You said that the president ordered a lifestyle check.
Yep, for everyone who's involved, which is why the Discayas had some of their luxury vehicles confiscated. Just right to me, actually.
Made investigation. Can you tell us more about this? Sino ho ang saklaw nitong lifestyle check na ito?
Who will be getting the lifestyle checks? Good question.
Unang-una po, hindi po natin makakaila na mayroong mga DPWH officials na sinasabing involved at malamang ay magsimula sila doon.
Basically, Claire Castro said, begin with the DPWH officials who misuse the funds. Begin with the DPWH officials who misuse the funds for themselves. Basically, they're the very, very first ones in line to get a lifestyle check. Absolutely, she's correct with that.
At ayan siya, meron naman po na pwedeng magkaroon ng lifestyle check. Ang ombudsman pwedeng mag-initiate. Ang BIR pwedeng mag-inspect.
The ombudsman or the Bureau of Internal Revenue would have to start the lifestyle check. Basically, audit the bastard who misused the funds.
Magkaroon ng lifestyle check. Sa bawat ahensya na may sakop sa kanya, DPWH, pwede rin po.
That's right.
So yun po. Kung sino po
even DPWH too.
Magkaroon ng
basically the brass of DPWH who found this out.
Lifestyle check, gawin po nila. Involved patungkol muna sa flood control projects na maanomalya. So dapat ang bawat ahensya ay tumupad sa kanilang tungkulin. Asahan po natin dapat at bigyan po din natin sila ng karampatang tiwala. At kapag pinakita din tayong anomalya sa kanilang pag-iimbestiga, magiging questionable rin po ang kanilang pagtatrabaho at malamang masama rin sila sa pag-iimbestiga.
Basically, yeah. Basically, agencies should investigate their own mistakes, their own problems, their own anomalies. And if the evidence that they submit to investigating parties are in doubt, are doubted at all, the entire department would be doubted. Basically, the Public Works and Highways Department should absolutely clear up their own mistakes and make sure to give the evidence to investigating parties. But if their evidence is doubted, the entire department is doubted. And DPWH does not want that. The entirety of DPWH does not want that. This is why Marcos has actually assigned Dizon in this. Because if Marcos Jr. loses the Public Works and Highways Department, it would be absolutely catastrophic. We don't want to lose the only department that is able to make infrastructure projects possible and even make it a reality. We don't want to lose that department, okay? This is why Marcos had to appoint someone to make sure that DPWH is steered in the right direction. That makes sense. Next video we're watching. The video is titled, hold on, wait.
14 billion.
Okay, you may have heard it already. 14 billion peso flood control projects that have a value of 14 billion pesos in Manila have no permits from the local government. Oh man. Yeah. Contractors and their anonymity. They think they have anonymity. They would be noticed with all the shit that's happening. Of course, they would be noticed, whether they are operating with or without permits, and whether they are actually doing shit. They're actually doing okay. Normally, people would not mind, but considering that the contractors are absolutely screwing up everything and are costing millions of pesos in losses because of floods, of course they would be noticed now. You know, everything that the government is doing against the contractors who are screwing up, everything is being reactive. But at the same time, they're trying to make sure everyone who is involved with the entire mess is held accountable. These contractors should not have been screwing up quality of life patches, for Pete's sake.
14 billion pesos. Ganyan kalaki ang bumahang pondo para sa mga flood control projects sa Maynila. Pero nabisong wala palang permit mula sa lokal na pamahalaan ang mga proyektong ito. Nasa frontline na balitang yan si Camille Samonte.
Mula 2022 hanggang ngayong taon, higit 200 flood control projects ang itinayo sa lungsod ng Maynila.
Yep.
14 billion pesos.
There were a lot who came from the Rodrigo Duterte administration, and there were some that were made invisible during the Marcos Jr. administration. Basically, yeah.
Pesos ang halaga niyan. Pero nadiskubre ni Manila Mayor Isko Moreno na ni isa sa mga proyekto walang kaukulang permit mula sa LGU. Inaprubahan daw ng DPWH ang proyekto kahit klaro umanong paglabag ito sa local government code at ibang ordinansa.
So most of it,
basically, corrupt figures in the DPWH approved to have these projects started in 2022. But the local government in Manila did not even know.
Finish already. Bumaha ng pondo sa Maynila, bumaha pa rin sa Maynila.
Exactly. Here's the thing. People would not mind when it comes to these flood control projects as long as they hold up. But they did not. So contractors screwed up big time, as well as the DPWH. Seriously. If you are fast-tracking infrastructure projects, DPWH, you gotta look into the reputation of the contractors first. You've got to look at do not discount quality of life patches for any city, for any municipality. Do not discount quality of life patches at all. Doing so may lead to deadly consequences, as is proven as of recent. DPWH, you have individual officials who are trying to do the work, but do it better. Improve quality of life patches. What was done as of recent was horrendous. Horrendous. Horrendous to almost nothing. There's no significant progress. Worse, you guys are actually in the wrong because there is no permission from the local government. Even worse, it's systematic. The corruption is indeed systematic.
Itong lahat ng ito ay permit sa lungsod.
Kung pagbabasehan ng mga dokumento, ang GLC Construction and Supply
GLC Construction Supply. Oh boy. They've been given that much of a budget to work with.
ang isa sa mga may pinakamaraming nakuhang proyekto na aabot sa 1.4 billion pesos. Isa sa mga proyekto nila ang 38.4 million peso flood mitigation structure sa kahabaan ng Estero de Magdalena sa Barangay 259 at 266 sa Tondo. February 2025.
February 2025 was when it was launched, I think. Yeah.
Ang agreement at binigyan sila ng 161 days para tapusin ito.
161 days, but what happened?
Dito sa kinatatayuan ko makikita yung isa sa mga flood control projects na ginagawa ng GLC Construction.
Oh my God! Bro! This is not even finished. There was no significant progress. There was no progress at all, it looks like. Bro!
Dito yan sa kahabaan ng Estero de Magdalena. At kung makikita ninyo, hindi pa rin yan tapos hanggang ngayon at patuloy pa rin nga yung kanilang paggawa kahit wala silang anumang permit mula sa Manila LGU.
You know, I don't mind DPWH actually fast-tracking these projects. The problem is the contractor's reputation. They've always have to be screened. They always have to have background checks for these contractors. And if it's proven that these contractors have been causing messes again and again and again and again, and at the same time, know how they're connected with their own benefactors. How are they connected to the benefactors, and how do they get their funding? How do they allocate the resources to actually finishing the project? The contractors absolutely have to be individually screened. But no, look at what happened on this one. Look at what happened on this.
Nirereklamo na yan ng mga residente.
Yeah, it comes from the residents. They're complaining a lot of this.
Yung perang ginastos dyan, tapos pagdating ng mga baha daw, hindi naman gumana.
Exactly. What was the intended purpose of these flood control projects if they're not able to do what is advertised, and if they're not able to do what was paid for by the citizens? See? This is why the flood control projects became a scandal in itself. It's because there is either no progress or there is lack of progress. And even if a project looks finished, there is less and less integrity to that of a finished project due to lack of resources, due to lack of building material. All of it is equally bad. And I don't care how many contractors actually make a suitable finish. If the product is still horrendous and it still looks at all substandard, sack everyone who's in the contracting company and at the same time make it worthless. Audit them to their cells. Audit the contractors to their cells.
Hindi naman pinagagana. Nung huling bagyo, puno yung ano na yan, ito, apaw yan.
Dumepensa naman ang DPWH North Manila District Engineering Office. Gumagana raw ang flood control doon at may maintenance team umano na nagmamonitor.
Sa dating administration po, hindi po nirequire yung
sa dating administrasyon. So, during the Duterte administration, it has been made clear to the DPWH, well, maybe apparently to those who believe in Duterte more, that apparently it was not required that they get a permit. This comes from District Engineer Dennis Sandoval from the North Manila District Engineering Office. So basically, there is a bad policy problem in DPWH as well. So there's the answer to my question. Why were there no permits? Simply because the DPWH is fast tracking and there is no specific policy that requires them to get permits from the local government. So this is a systematic problem to DPWH.
Certainly, ipapaalam lang po kami na gagawa na pinapayagan po.
Sinuspindi daw muna nila ang mga nasabing proyekto. Sinisikap pa namin na makuha ang pahayag ng Chelsea Construction.
Yeah, that construction company is toasted.
Babalita mula sa Frontline, Camille Samonte, News 5.
Okay. This is so bad, bro. This is so horrendous to look at. All of this shit, dude. So apparently, there is a video. This is not a short, but it is vertical. The video is titled Leyte Mayor. Leyte, Leyte. Leyte Mayor links Richard Gomez to damaged flood control project. This is in Leyte, the city of Leyte. I think this is in the Visayas region. This is published by Rappler, also from 4 weeks ago.
A mayor criticizes Leyte 4th District Representative Richard Gomez for lack of support amid heavy flooding in their district after a flood control structure linked to the congressman collapsed on Monday evening, August 25.
Yeah, even Richard Gomez too. He sponsored this. Oh my god, bro. What? I need to see this. I need to see what the hell, how the hell this is. Oh my god, this is terrible shit, though. It collapsed. It collapsed bad, bro. It collapsed bad.
Matag-ob Leyte Mayor Bernie Tacoy writes on social media, "Despite limited support from our district representative, we continue to persevere through discipline and resilience." Initial reports from the Matag-ob Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office
There was massive damage.
Said portions of the Barangay Riverside flood control structure.
The Riverside flood control structure is breaking apart, basically.
Caved in after heavy rainfall.
It caved in after heavy rainfall and flooding. Basically, lack of building material. Just like the one at Tarlac. Just like in other places too.
And flooding. In a Facebook live stream on Tuesday, August 26, Tacoy says the flood control structure was linked to Gomez.
Oh my god. Oh wow, my goodness. We didn't even know about the project. That means there's no permission. There was no permit from the local government too. What we saw was already the groundbreaking, led by Congressman Richard Gomez with his Matag-ob development team during the election period.
Tacoy adds the heads of the Municipal Development Office and the Municipal Engineering Department were absent during the groundbreaking, but Gomez was present. Tacoy also criticizes the Department of Public Works and Highways for always bypassing the...
Exactly. There is a massive policy problem in the DPWH. There's a massive policy problem in the DPWH.
Municipal government when it comes to projects in their town. Gomez, citing Leyte 4th District Engineer Peter Soco, says in a message to Rappler on Wednesday, August 27, the project was still under construction when it was damaged.
Oh my god, this is worse. It's still unfinished. And it's already showing damage. Basically, they were careless. Not only were there missing building materials on this, but there was no way to protect the flood projects from being damaged if they're unfinished. This is a shit show. This is a shit show by itself, and oh my god.
He says the damage will be repaired at no cost to the government.
At no cost to the No. You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that if there is no protection for an unfinished flood control project. You don't get to say that. no cost to the government. Unfortunately, not only are you going to pay for it, but the government is going to pay for this as well. You screwed up.
Takoy is not the first person to criticize a lawmaker over flood control projects. In July, Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong said in an interview with One News, lawmakers receive payments for helping facilitate flood control project contracts.
The lawmakers get kickbacks. So basically, Richard Gomez has been named a kickback receiver. So, yeah.
To private entities.
Let me just be clear. Richard Gomez, if I'm right, is an actor. Was an actor. I think he retired from that, and then he just went to serve for the public interest instead. Look, I don't hate the guy, but seriously, he has got to stop investing on bad contractors. Lawmakers and anyone who are involved with flood control or infrastructure have got to stop investing in bad contractors who can't do shit effectively. And they should not underfund them either. That will help them think, and that will help them source the materials, the necessary materials, to make sure that there is effective infrastructure. But no, they also, it doesn't matter what kind of contractors they have in their pockets. They just keep receiving the kickback. This is the ugly situation in this too. They could get kickback as much as they need to. They just need to make sure that they invest with the right contractors to avoid getting themselves in hot water with the government. God damn it. All right. Next video I have is it's titled, okay, this has been published by GMA Integrated News. This video has been out 4 weeks ago. The video was titled Sheet Pile. Okay. A flood control project in Mandaue City gave out because there's only a sheet pile. It's only considered a sheet pile. All considering. What is the entirety of the title? The flood control project in Mandaue City gave out already, I think, days after? All right, hold. Bumigay kasunod ng ilang araw na it gave out after days of rain. It only took a few days. I can understand months or weeks, but days after it was finished? Are you shitting me right now? No way!
Gumuho ang isang bahagi ng flood control project sa Mandaue City. Kasunod ng ilang araw na pag-ulan, sa inspeksyon ng DPWH, lumabas na structurally unstable ang bahagi ng proyekto. Nakatutok si Fe Marie Dumac.
Structurally unstable. Oh my God. Oh my God.
GMA Regional TV.
Hindi kinaya ng mga sheet pile ng flood control project.
Sheet piles. God, this is embarrassing.
Sa Mandaue City, ang ilang araw na sunod-sunod ang ulan. Tuluyang bumigay nitong Martes ang mga PVC na nagsisilbing retaining wall.
PVCs only. Aren't PVCs plastic? Hold on. No. I don't want to believe it. Hold on, wait. Yes, PVC or polyvinyl chloride is a type of plastic, specifically a thermoplastic polymer. Naturally has a rigid and brittle. Naturally has even common information confirms, okay? PVC naturally has a rigid and brittle structure. Brittle. Why is it being used as foundation against rain and floods? Why? I'm going to go back a bit on the video.
Flood control project sa Mandaue City. Ang ilang araw na sunod-sunod ang ulan. Tuluyang bumigay nitong Martes ang mga PVC na nagsisilbing retaining wall.
Used as the retaining wall? How stupid can this be? How stupid is this? How stupid is this? Oh my God, what? Why?
ng pangharang sa baha sa Barangay Paknaan. Kaya nag-aalala ang mga residente lalo't binabaha sila.
Why use that as a retaining wall? What the fuck, bro? Minsan, maabot sa tuhod. Sometimes the flood can reach to our knees. Sometimes it can reach to our waists.
So kanang gihimo diha nga alis sa sapa, wag yun na magsilbi.
Wala kay ko, wa pa man na humandira.
There's also a problem. It is also an unfinished project as well. Holy shit, dude.
Balaka akong duha ka rep gani na kuan na apil niya. Guba. Ihuno na pod niya motor.
Basically, the floods have damaged appliances. They've damaged vehicle motors. The floods have been consistent. If not the flood control infrastructure, the floods have been consistent.
Pagbaha diretso man dayon.
You don't use brittle material. You don't use brittle material for flood control. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking into different AI respondents on this one because let's just be real. Some of the responses make sense. Some responses from ChatGPT, some from Google's AI itself. And here's what I got. PVC sheet piles are used in flood control because they are a cost-effective, non-corrosive, and lightweight material for temporary or less demanding applications. Okay, sure. Here's the problem. The way it was made as a retaining wall, however, and probably the lack of resources to actually keep it maintained that way. I'm sure you already know why. There's always a money problem with this shit. The failure was likely due to a combination of water pressure from heavy rain, structural instability. There should be no Here, let's just be absolutely real with this. There should be no structural instability with the actual project. Otherwise, it would make the effect worse. Sure, there could be heavy rain, but if there is no structural instability, the flood control project can at least still hold. But there must be maintenance considering that there is still damage. And considering that the sheet piles were used beyond their warranty and were not robust enough for the location's conditions, it should already suggest to the DPWH and the contractors here that heavier, much durable materials should have been used in Mandaue. But what happened? It collapsed. They didn't even think of using stronger material, considering that the material they chose would fold immediately. It would fold almost immediately. Incompetent bastards. The incompetent bastards. Really.
July 2020 pa idiniklarang tapos ang proyektong nagkakahalaga ng 46 million pesos. Pero
another big waste of money. 46 million.
Sa ganitong sitwasyon namin ito dinatnan. Ayon sa inspection report ng DPWH Cebu 6 Engineering District na nakalakip sa isang memo nitong August 26, 130 metro ng proyekto ang may mga hindi pantay at nakatagilid na bahagi sa likod ng sheet piles. Naging sanhi umano ito ng pagiging structurally unstable ng nasabing parte. Kaya hindi kinaya ang pressure ng pag-apaw ng tubig.
Maybe it could be structurally unstable, but what if the building materials are correct? Maybe it can still hold? No, I don't think it can still hold. If the building material is bad, and if the structural instability is bad too, it is going to give a double whammy of an effect. It is going to give a double whammy of an effect for the infrastructure. It will damage it worse, and it will cause, and the heavy rains will cause floods. So, yeah, unfortunately, contributions of this infrastructure, because of what it is, if there is bad infrastructure stability at all, sorry, 0. I'm going to give it a 0 out of 10 when it comes to ratings. It even gets worse. People are going to rate this as one of the worst projects there are.
Inalis na ng DPWH ang mga tumagilid na bahagi ng proyekto para maiwasan ang aksidente. Pero kanina, dinatnan pa namin ang ilang nasirang sheet pile sa Butuanon River.
God,
Kasama rin sa utos ang madali ang pagkumpuni sa nasirang bahagi ng proyekto, alinsunod sa approved design specifications. Pero wala kaming inabutang kontraktor na gumagawa kanina.
Yeah, there were no contractors working on it. They had to pull up because they had to turn tail because they knew that they were going to get yelled at. They knew they were going to get attacked because of what happened to the nearby towns. The nearby city, Mandaue, has suffered because of this.
Wala pang tugon ng DPWH at kontraktor ng proyekto sa request ng GMA Regional TV na makuha ang kanilang panig. Ayon naman sa Mandaue City Administrator, hindi proyekto ng kasalukuyang kongresista ang nasirang flood control project. Dahil sa nangyari, magsasagawa ang Mandaue City Hall ng inspeksyon sa retaining walls para malaman ang kondisyon nito.
Actually, nakaagi man mi dahil napita itong last week.
Nag-random inspect bago pa man nasira. There was a random inspection that happened before it broke apart. We saw the situation. We will keep doing these random inspections because Butuanon is so lengthy. The flood control project itself is a lengthy one. And considering the damage that heavy rains had made to it, there's a lot to look at.
Random inspect namin. At that time, wala pa man ito magubuha. Kung kita kami napit sa situation. Mga nga, magpadayon na siguro random, kaya taas magugpin ang Butuanon sa...
Para sa GMA Integrated News, Femari Dumabok ng GMA Regional TV. Nakatutok 24 oras.
It is so unbelievably. Oh my God, bro. It's no joke, bro. This shit is real and it is horrific. All this shit is horrific, bro. I will just refresh to see which ones I watched. All right, so which ones have I watched? All right, the next I will be looking at. This is a video from DZMM Teleradio, and this has been published 3 weeks ago. Flood control project contractor refuses to answer questions on Senate probe. This is one of the sessions of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. And there's a thumbnail titled, there's the thumbnail that actually has the title, Kinakabahan magsalita. Are they nervous to speak out? Basically, contractors. They're speaking to the contractors here. Uh-oh. One of the 15 that got blacklisted because of this bullshit. Uh-oh.
Good morning po. Yeah, can you answer yes or no? Ghost Project, can you turn on the microphone, please?
Oh my God. He tried to speak out. He tried to speak. He may have attempted to speak out, but he's not pressing the button. And then when he was told to actually was told to press the button so that he could speak, he just fell silent. Look at this, bro. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this. What the hell is this? Look at this. He tried to speak right here. He's told to turn on the mic, and then he just backed out, bro. Bro, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? He just refused to say something because it would implicate him entirely. It would implicate the entire contractor. What the fuck, bro? Oh my God.
It's a yes or no question, sir.
Yeah, look, Joel, I'm sure you're doing your best here, but unfortunately, you got implicated for receiving the kickbacks. Unfortunately, but you're part of this thing because you got to see through it to the end to make sure that everything's just, yeah.
Wow, you don't even know. You're looking for your lawyers. Wow.
You're looking for your lawyers. Have you seen what the fuck is happening? Oh my God.
I invoke my right of self-incrimination in your honor.
You invoke you don't want to get incriminated. You're trying to invoke. You're trying to invoke to have the law protect you because you don't want to incriminate yourself. That is admission of guilt automatically in the court of fucking public opinion, bro. That is admission of guilt.
Okay. Can you repeat your answer? Wow. Can you repeat your answer, Mr. Arevalo? I invoke my rights for self-incrimination, Your Honor. My God.
the question of the majority floor leader is very simple. It's very simple. Do you have any ghost project?
Do you have any ghost project? He is under oath to answer, and he is not answering. That same contractor is not answering. By the way, this contractor is from Wow Builders. WAWAO space builders. The construction firm itself. Do you have any ghost projects? He refused to answer the question, and he invokes the law to work for him so that he doesn't get incriminated. That is a big, big red flag.
In any of the areas here in the Philippines?
And if there is evidence that suggests that there have been ghost projects, and he does not answer, he will absolutely be held in contempt.
Answer.
He's just remaining silent, bro. Hold on.
Dahil may mga usapin po na kakasuhan yung mga kontraktor ng DPWH po at parte ng ulat ng Senado na magpagrekomenda ng paghahain ng kaso laban sa resource person, ang payo ng aking mga abogado ay huwag magsalita sa panahon na ito dahil anumang
Oh my God! To prevent themselves from getting incriminated and actually putting on the hook some of the DPWH officials that were tied to the Wow builders, the lawyers have absolutely suggested that the Wow builders not speak for any matter in regards to this. That is automatically admission of guilt right there, bro.
pahayag ko sa pagsisiyasat.
Sino nag-utos sa'yo na huwag magsalita?
Yeah. Who? Yeah. Good question. Who told you not to talk? Exactly. Which lawyer? Which legal rep? Good question. Jingo Estrada is asking, who is saying that you should not talk?
May binabasa ka ba?
Yeah. Basically, he should be. It's okay if you're reading something. Now he's being asked if he is reading something.
Ginawa ko po, Your Honor.
Ano binabasa mo?
Pasensya po kasi kinakabahan po kasi po.
And he's a nervous. He is a nervous wreck. He is a nervous wreck. Oh my God.
Only answerable by yes or no, Mr. Arevalo. Is there any ghost projects of Wow Builders? This is what I discovered, and the former secretary confirmed during the first hearing that there indeed are ghost projects.
Not only is this embarrassing to Wow Builders because there is heavy evidence that not only suggests that there are ghost projects, there is solid proof that there are ghost projects because, oh boy. I'm going to look at the context of this entire clip, okay? They are currently under intense scrutiny for allegedly being involved in ghost projects and substandard work related to flood control projects in Bulacan. The company's owner, Mark Alan Arevalo, has been identified by the Department of Public Works and Highways. Yeah, he's beyond fucked. He is beyond fucked at this point. Yeah, he is beyond fucked.
Bine-verify pa po namin, Your Honor, ang ano kung meron po.
Ano ka ba sa Wow? Are you the owner?
Yes po, Your Honor.
And you should know.
Yes! You should have the answer to that question. You should have the answer to that question. But if you refuse to speak, it would be as if you are also lying. That is still admission of fucking guilt, bro. Come fucking clean, bro.
Majority Leader, it's your time, huh? Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'm just disappointed, Mr. Chairman, kasi pambira ka, sasagot ka ng ganyan, ghost project. Parang tinatanong ka kung tao ka, hindi mo alam kung tao ka. Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, basically, they are beyond screwed as a contractor. Wow Builder is beyond screwed as a contractor. Shit, bro. Shit, bro. Dude. The answer was supposed to be simple. You just had to make it complicated. But, sorry. That's just how it is, I guess. Damn. Oh, man. I am not feeling sorry for you. You guys absolutely should have backed out of the actual project as soon as you know that there are less resources given to you and that you utilized less resources for the actual projects. And if there are actually ghost projects at the entirety of your existence and you never put the work in, oh my God. That is even worse. That is even worse, bro. Damn.